The sun dipped below the Manhattan skyline, painting the city in hues of orange and purple. Peter Parker, perched atop a gargoyle on one of New York's countless skyscrapers, scanned the streets below. At 25, he had been Spider-Man for nearly a decade, but something about tonight felt different. The air thrummed with an eerie energy, setting his spider sense on edge. As he swung between buildings, Peter couldn't shake the feeling that something was amiss. Over the past few weeks, reports of strange occurrences had been trickling in. Shadowy figures darting through alleyways, inexplicable property damage, and an increasing number of missing persons cases. Landing on a rooftop, Peter paused to catch his breath. His mind wandered to Eddie Brock, his former rival turned reluctant ally. It had been months since their last encounter, and Peter couldn't help but wonder if these bizarre incidents were somehow connected to the Venom symbiote. A scream pierced the night air, snapping Peter back to reality. He leaped off the building, web-slinging towards the source of the distress. As he rounded a corner, he came face to face with a sight that made his blood run cold. A writhing mass of black tendrils had engulfed a car, its occupants trapped inside. The substance bore an uncanny resemblance to the Venom symbiote, but something was different. It seemed more feral, uncontrolled. "Hey, ugly!" Peter called out, drawing the creature's attention. "I think you missed a spot on the windshield." The symbiote creature whipped around, its white eyes narrowing as it focused on Spider-Man. With lightning speed, it lashed out, forcing Peter to dodge and weave through a barrage of attacks. As he fought, memories of his past encounters with Eddie and the Venom symbiote flashed through Peter's mind. The bitter rivalry, the misunderstandings, and the eventual truce they had formed. This was something entirely new and terrifying. With a well-timed web shot, Peter managed to pull the symbiote away from the car, allowing the frightened passengers to escape. But as he grappled with the creature, he realized it was far stronger than he had anticipated. "Where did you come from?" Peter grunted, struggling to keep the symbiote at bay. "And where's your buddy Eddie?" The creature responded with an inhuman shriek, its form shifting and pulsing. For a moment, Peter thought he saw a flicker of recognition in its eyes, but it was gone in an instant, replaced by pure primal rage. With a Herculean effort, Peter managed to web up the symbiote, containing it long enough for the police to arrive. As sirens wailed in the distance, he swung away, his mind racing with questions. Back in his small apartment, Peter peeled off his mask and collapsed onto his worn sofa. The TV flickered to life, and a breaking news report caught his attention. "This is Christine Palmer reporting live from downtown Manhattan." The reporter's voice crackled through the speakers. "We're receiving multiple reports of strange black creatures terrorizing the city. Eyewitnesses describe them as living shadows with superhuman strength and agility." Peter leaned forward, his heart pounding. The camera panned across a scene of chaos, overturned cars, shattered windows, and panicked civilians fleeing in all directions. "Authorities are advising all residents to stay indoors and report any sightings immediately," Christine continued, her voice tight with tension. "The origin of these creatures is unknown, but some speculate a connection to the vigilante known as Venom." The mention of Venom sent a chill down Peter's spine. He hadn't seen Eddie in months, not since their last uneasy alliance. Could Eddie be behind this? Or was he in trouble? As if in answer to his thoughts, Peter's phone buzzed with a text from Mary Jane. "Pete, have you seen the news? Be careful out there. I'm worried about you." Peter smiled despite the gravity of the situation. MJ always knew how to ground him, even in the face of unimaginable danger. He quickly typed a reply, assuring her he was safe and promising to check in soon. With a heavy sigh, Peter stood up and walked to the window, gazing out at the city he had sworn to protect. The streets below were eerily quiet, a stark contrast to the usual bustling nightlife of New York. He knew he couldn't face this threat alone. The symbiote he had encountered was unlike anything he had faced before, and if there were more out there, he would need help. But reaching out to Eddie felt like opening old wounds, dredging up a past filled with mistrust and betrayal. As dawn broke over the city, Peter made his decision. He would investigate on his own first, gather more information before potentially involving Eddie. He couldn't shake the feeling that this was just the beginning of something much larger and more dangerous than he could imagine. Slipping his mask back on, Spider-Man leaped from his window, ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. As he swung through the awakening city, Peter couldn't help but feel a sense of foreboding. The symbiotes were out there, growing in number and strength with each passing moment. Little did he know, across town, Eddie Brock was fighting his own battle. The Venom symbiote within him was restless, sensing the presence of its offspring. As Eddie struggled to maintain control, a new player emerged from the shadows. A being born of vengeance and chaos, ready to unleash hell upon New York City. The symbiote rebellion had begun, and Spider-Man was caught in the center of a storm that threatened to consume everything he held dear.